FPUC Retro. In the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to hear from Joe Biden if his third stimulus package does do FPUC Retro, if it goes back to January 25th, and if it's $600 a week. So how do you get FPUC? What is FPUC? What's UI? What's PUA? How do you certify for benefits? How do you ensure that you get 20 weeks of FPUC at $600 a week if that's what Joe Biden does? In this overnight LALATE video, I go over FPUC and ensure you understand how everything operates for UI, PUA, and FPUC. Enjoy this overnight LALATE throwback on unemployment. What will happen to FPUC, that's $600 from the federal government, as we approach late July? Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package updates for today, our third of four stimulus check updates. Earlier today, we detailed in our first video the importance of understanding how to receive a second stimulus check if you are on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and to ensure that you actually receive the check, the mechanisms to receiving the check. In our second video, we detailed the really shocking elements about how to ensure that you get hazard pay under a second stimulus package, up to $10,000, and what you need to have your employer to do, and especially what will happen if your loved one has died in recent weeks and you're entitled to get those benefits for him or her. Finally, later in our last video today on the second stimulus check videos, we are going to go over the new labor rates and the shocking spread of COVID-19 and how that's impacting the bottom line. But in this video, we're going to go over PUA and UI as usual on our second stimulus check video. What I want to go over with you is a recap of the ability for you to qualify for PUA and UI, what you need to do if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, and what's going to happen with FPUC, that's $600 from the federal government. Let's get first with that. As you know, FPUC is the $600 from the federal government, which is paid per week, established in the CARES Act. It pays from the month of March to the month of July. It's not PUA, it's not UI, it's called FPUC, but it runs out. It's stopping its run in late July. There's a problem. It's the timeline. The timeline problem is the following. Members of Congress are on vacation because they absolutely need to take 55 vacations a year because they work so darn hard, you know. Awful. And they're on vacation until late July. So while your FPUC is running out, their feet are in the Bahamas, twiddling in a jacuzzi, holding a Mai Tai. They come back, and then they only have a few weeks to extend FPUC and under a second stimulus package, which they have to adopt by August 8th, and I think they will adopt. But ultimately, there will be a short period of time, a couple of weeks, in which you may not get that $600 from the federal government if you're still impacted by COVID-19. So what should you think about and what should you do? Ultimately, this channel has always helped the viewers do things proactively ahead of time. I never like to have people react to the situation after the fact. So what I want to do is the following. I want to ensure that the viewers of this channel who qualify for FPUC, who qualify for PUA, and qualify for UI are on it and getting paid when the time that those lazy people come back from their vacation start to get back to work in late July in the House and Senate. And I want you to be teed up because ultimately this is the good news. The good news is that most states, when they are starting to pay you benefits for UI and PUA, route the payments generally within about 24 to 48 hours. So the problem is getting it to that stage. And I want you to get to that stage now as we sit here in June. So let's recap. First of all, who are you UI or are you PUA? When this channel launched 2 months ago, can you imagine it's only been 2 months ago? When this channel launched 2 months ago, the very first day, I did a PUA video explaining to everyone this new program that no one ever heard of called PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. Some of you are PUA, some of you are UI. Which one is for you and which one is not for you? First, UI is for people who work in an employee-employer situation. And this also is, when I say work, I also mean may have formerly worked or have been laid off. PUA is for people who are independent contractors or solo practitioners or own their own business. Now, the law says very clearly that PUA people must be ineligible for UI. So you cannot get PUA if you qualify for UI. It's as simple as that. Most states require you to apply for, as a PUA person, apply for UI and get a denial before you get PUA. Why? Because they want to tee it up. They require that denial for UI in order to get PUA. So if you're an Uber Lyft driver, what happens? Here's the rub. Uber and Lyft drivers are PUA people. You're independent contractors. You don't get a W-2. You're not employees. You're treated as a W-9. Now, here's the catch. States are furious about that. They want to call you W-2s. They want to call you employees. California, the state is suing Uber and Lyft to call you W-2s. And what some states are doing, not necessarily in California, but what some states are doing is they are intentionally misclassifying you as UI. And so you're watching this video, you're like, well, I'm clearly PUA. I'm an Uber Lyft driver. No, some states are intentionally misclassifying you as UI. So let me preempt that. So if you're an Uber Lyft driver, in your back of your mind, you should consider yourself as PUA. If your state is one of those states that is just screwing and wants to intentionally misclassify you, go ahead with it. Ultimately, what happens if you're in UI or PUA, the benefits are the same. The benefits are the same, and so the state wants to inherently misclassify you, and despite as much as you hit the ground saying you misclassified you, the benefits will be the same. So if they want to send you the benefits on the wrong classifications, let them do it. So you apply, and if you're a UI person, you get approval. If you're a PUA person, you get a denial of UI, and then you apply for PUA. Next, what happens next? Well, when you're in these portals, you'll see something like a claim tab or claim bit, and it'll say claim approved. And it'll say, congratulations, your claim has been approved for PUA, or claim has been approved for UI. Okay. I remember the very first week this channel launched, someone out in New York kept on saying, I'm approved, but I haven't seen any money. I'm approved, I haven't seen any money. I said, have you certified for benefits? What is that? Yeah, if you haven't done this before, it's very screwy. So let me explain to you what it means. It's different than a car accident. With a car accident, you call up your insurance company, you file a claim, and the claim is approved, and you get a check. Not in the case of UI or PUA. Once a claim is approved for PUA or a claim is approved for UI, you don't get a check. Why? Because then you have to do what is called certified for benefits on a weekly basis. What does certified for benefits means? Well, you have to go into the website and you got to click on a tab and says certified for benefits, and you have to go through each week and certify what happened. And if you answer the questions a certain way, that's correct. At the end, it'll say, thank you, processing. It may send you to the next week. So if you have a couple weeks, it'll do a couple weeks at a time. Ultimately, if you do it correctly, if you do it in a manner in which you are eligible, it'll say processing. And then when you look at the tab that says payments due, it'll show that payment amount therein. It'll actually show, okay, 167 for that week you just did for us for certification, now processing. If it says something bad like ineligible or void or something like that, then that means it determined you are not eligible for benefits that week. Doesn't mean you're not eligible for benefits ever, but for that week. So how much would you receive, and how do you receive it? So it would show that week in the portal, in the website of the state for that week. Every state has a base level benefits. The base level benefits are about, anywhere from $135 to, actually one state I think was $118. That's pretty ridiculous. About $118. Some states are hot, maybe $187, $190. So it'll show that base level benefit amount. Now, you may ask me, where the hell is the $600? Some states don't show the $600 on the website. The reason why is because they just have old websites. They don't want to update it. So don't think you don't get the $600, the FPUC. You'll get it. Next, what happens thereafter? Well, states have to route things. So once it shows paid or processing, they're going to route the money to you. So if your state is one that does it by direct deposit, it could take a few weeks. If it's one that sends a debit card, it could take a couple of weeks. Ultimately, usually it doesn't take that long to get the payment once it says paid or processing. That's the good news. And that's why it's important for a second stimulus package, because when FPUC expires and then hopefully is reinstated in late July, when members of Congress come back from sipping their Mai Tai in the Bahamas, then what will happen is you'll be able to go back in and get that $600 from the federal government. So how are the checks, how is the money delivered, and how does it drop? A lot of the viewers of this channel were in states that just weren't paying people a penny and were backlogged for months. So viewers like Eileen, who was with me from the very, very beginning, she just woke up one morning and finally her claim for PUA was approved, and she got 10 weeks of benefits, bam, right in her account. You can do the math. 10 weeks of benefits at $750, 167 plus 600, it's about $800 a week times 10 weeks, $8,000 in her account. Bam, one moment. So that's what happens. It just sort of drops. Next, some states deliver the $600 separate from the base level benefits. It's very screwy, and they don't tell you they're doing it, and they just do it. I don't know why. Next, retroactive benefits and escalated benefits. Number one questions I always have gotten. Escalated benefits. I haven't seen a lot of questions from viewers about escalated benefits in the last 2 weeks. This channel is 2 months old. But in those first month and a half of this channel, I got so many questions about escalated benefits, and I never, ever, ever heard of a state that paid the escalated benefits. And it's a true disgrace. You know why it's a disgrace? It's the following. If you made about $28,000 or $30,000 last year in gross rev, you qualify for escalated benefits. So instead of, 167, you qualify for like 300. I think Massachusetts is almost like $400 per week, something like that. I mean, it's a big difference. It's several $100s per week. So if we're talking about, $300 additional per week, 10 weeks, that's $3,000. They're not paying it. It's a human disgrace. They have they are allocated those funds by the federal government. They have the funds, they have budgetary constraints, but they're not paying escalated benefits. If you got paid escalated benefits, drop in the comments below. I'd love to praise your state, because I've had a lot of viewers who have never gotten paid a penny of escalated benefits. As viewers like in California who said, I have no way to communicate to them how to escalate benefits. That was always the common question I got early on in this channel, is how do I apply for escalated benefits? I said, well, you write a letter and you attach a copy of your 2019 returns. And they said, my state has no place for me to give them a correspondence. I would say something like, send it Federal Express, or send a 2-day mail to them, and hopefully that will work. Next, retroactive benefits. The number one question I always get about PUA and UI is, how do I get retroactive benefits? Well, when you go to file your claim, you list the date of impact by COVID-19, and if you list the date in March, that is your retroactive date. If you put the date of impact from COVID-19 as today, you're not getting retroactive benefits. How soon do they get to retroactive benefits? They're usually backed up a few weeks. They don't do it initially, but they don't ignore it like escalated benefits altogether. Finally, in yesterday's video, we detailed a state assembly person here in California who is processing 50 cases a day for people in her small community in California who are not getting paid a penny for PUA and UI, and she said it's working. So if you are not getting paid PUA or UI from your state, do not contact your senator or House representative. Contact your state assembly person, because they have a smaller number of people. They work directly with the state institutions, aka the state UI office, and they can escalate the matter for you. But if you have comments to today's video, as always, drop them in the comments below, and we may answer in tomorrow's recording. As always, stay with LA for more.